staying abroad for too long won't cost you your legal status, but it can significantly delay your American dream. This is why the foundations we covered in our first two videos, the basic eligibility rules and the 6-month travel threshold, are so critical to protecting your timeline. Now, we must look at what happens when you move beyond those basics and into the danger zone. Absences that last between 6 and 12 months, or even full years abroad. Today, we will show you exactly how to measure the impact of these trips and the waiting periods required to get your path to citizenship back on track as quickly as possible. We've also included case studies and a short interactive quiz so you can evaluate your progress with us. We've put the questions and timestamps on the screen so you can jump straight to the answers you need. This is part 3 of a 4-part series on acquiring U.S. citizenship, brought to you by the law offices of Chris M. Ingram.
Just a quick reminder, if you appreciate this in-depth content, please take a moment to like and subscribe. It helps us bring you more. Now on with the video.
As we continue our discussion on U.S. citizenship, we need to look at what happens when your time abroad stretches into a longer period. Specifically, what are the implications if you've been outside the U.S. for more than 6 months, but less than 12 months? In this scenario, U.S. immigration will look closely at your case to consider whether or not you've broken the continuity rule. As a reminder, that continuous residency rule must not be broken. If it is, you may find that the time you have to wait before becoming eligible for U.S. citizenship can be extended. We've already discussed that absences of less than 6 months generally won't break that rule. But once you cross that 6-month mark, the stakes change. It is critical to understand that there are actually 2 distinct measurements for your absences, and you must be careful not to get them confused. The first set of rules measures your continued eligibility to keep your green card. The second set measures your eligibility for U.S. citizenship. The standards for each are different. For example, as a green card holder, you can generally leave the country for up to 12 months and stay in good standing to keep your card, provided you meet 2 conditions. First, you must not have requested classification as a non-resident for tax purposes while you were away. Second, you must not have documented any abandonment of your residence, such as selling your home or terminating your residential lease agreements. These 2 conditions generally keep your green card safe for absences under 12 months. But if you stay away for 12 months or more without first getting a re-entry permit, your green card is not automatically safe. When you return, at the airport, the officer from U.S. Customs and Border Protection has the discretion to decide whether you have abandoned your permanent resident status. However, keeping your green card does not automatically mean you've protected your path to citizenship. To prove you didn't disrupt the continuity of your residence during an extended absence, you need specific evidence. This documentation includes, but is not limited to, proof that you did not terminate your employment in the United States, your immediate family remained in the U.S., you retained full access to your United States abode, and you did not take up or obtain employment while you were abroad. As you can see, it is very easy to break your continuity of residence for citizenship purposes without necessarily jeopardizing your standing as a green card holder. Now, what if you are gone for even longer? If you are absent continuously from the U.S. for 12 months or more, this could break the continuity of residence rule entirely, unless you first obtained specific permission from U.S. immigration before leaving for such an extended period. If you do break those continuity rules, you have to look at reestablishing your residence once you return to the U.S., assuming, of course, that you are let back into the country at all. For those on a 5-year residency requirement, you must wait 4 years and 1 day after your return before you can refile for citizenship. If you are on a 3-year residency requirement, that wait is 2 years and 1 day. These rules are strict, but they are the key to ensuring your application is successful. Let's look at how these rules work in practice by following two hypothetical journeys. First, let's look at a case where an applicant successfully protected their timeline. Take Sara, a resident on a 5-year track who had to stay abroad for 8 months to handle a family matter. Because she stayed past the 6-month mark, U.S. immigration looked closely at whether she broke her continuity. However, Sara was prepared. She proved that she never terminated her employment in the U.S. Her husband and children remained in the United States, and she kept full access to her home. Because she provided this specific evidence and did not take a job while abroad, Sara successfully proved she didn't disrupt her continuity and was able to apply for citizenship on her original schedule. Now, let's look at what happens when the continuity rule is broken entirely. Here's John, who's also on the standard 5-year residency requirement for citizenship. John went abroad for a project and ended up staying 13 months. He didn't get a reentry permit or any special permission from U.S. immigration before he left. Because he was continuously absent for more than 12 months, 2 big things happened. First, his green card was not automatically safe. Without a re-entry permit, the card becomes invalid for re-entry after 1 year. When he came back, at the airport, the officer from U.S. Customs and Border Protection had the discretion to decide whether John had abandoned his permanent resident status. If the officer had said yes, John could have lost his green card and had to apply for a returning resident visa, or even start the whole immigration process over. Luckily, after showing strong ties to the U.S., John was allowed to keep his green card, but his path to citizenship was completely reset. He now has to re-establish his continuous residence and wait exactly 4 years and 1 day after his return before he's eligible to refile for U.S. citizenship. It's important to remember that these rules aren't just for your final application. Immigration officials will apply them every single time you return to the U.S. from a trip abroad. Furthermore, when you eventually apply for citizenship, you must add up every one of your absences to ensure you have been physically present in the U.S. for at least half of your qualifying period, as we saw in Part 2.
Let's see how well you've mastered the rules for long absences with a quick checkpoint quiz. 1. If you stay abroad for more than 6 months but less than 12, is your citizenship continuity automatically broken? No, but the stakes change. U.S. immigration will look closely at your case to determine if you maintained your ties to the United States. 2. True or false? Keeping your green card in good standing automatically means you have protected your path to citizenship. False. The standards for keeping a green card and qualifying for citizenship are different, and the rules for citizenship are much stricter. 3. True or false? You can request classification as a non-resident for tax purposes to save money while abroad without affecting your green card. False. Requesting non-resident tax status is a major mistake that can be documented as an abandonment of your residence, jeopardizing your status even if you return within a year. 4. What is the result of staying outside the U.S. for 12 months or more without first obtaining specific permission? Your green card is not automatically safe. When you return at the airport, the officer has the discretion to decide whether you have abandoned your permanent resident status. You could lose your green card and have to start the immigration process over. Even if you are allowed to keep your green card, this completely breaks the continuity of residence rule for citizenship. 5. If you are on a 5-year residency requirement and break your continuity, how long is the waiting period after your return before you can refile? You must wait 4 years and 1 day after your return to the United States. Those questions covered today's topics. Now, let's look at a hypothetical example that combines everything we've learned so far to see if you can handle a real-world scenario. Consider an applicant on the 5-year track who has spent a total of 24 months outside the U.S. during his qualifying period. This includes one trip over 6 months where he was questioned by an officer but successfully approved for re-entry, and another 5-month trip where he returned with no issues at all. Is he still eligible to apply? Yes, even though he was questioned by an officer, he is still eligible. Because he spent 36 months inside the US, he has met the physical presence requirement of at least 30 months, which is half of his 5-year period. How did you do? Drop your score in the comments and let us know if these waiting periods and evidence rules are clear.
We have now covered the most critical stages of your citizenship strategy. We started with the basic eligibility rules in Part 1, moved through the logic of residence and physical presence in Part 2, and today we navigated the risks of long absences and the specific waiting periods required if your continuity is broken. In the fourth and final part of our series, we explore the life-changing benefits of citizenship, faster family sponsorship, absolute protection from deportation, and the truth about dual citizenship. Join us to see why becoming a citizen is the ultimate insurance for your family's future. To help you protect your status, visit breakthroughusa.com and read our full guide on U.S. citizenship requirements. It covers everything we've discussed today in even more detail. See you in the next part.